Hello, everyone. I'm glad you're here for this provider training. My name is Jesse Monroe. I am a self-advocate with the Arc of Virginia and the Ally Alliance. And my fellow uh, co-facilitator for this presentation, Shay Ruff, is also with the Alliance. And we're happy to share this with you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Shay Ruff. I am a Radford University graduate with my bachelor's in social work. I am also a community advocate in Roanoke, Virginia, and a member of the A Life Like Yours Self-Advocacy Alliance. It's good to be with all of you.
All right. As you're aware, there are many types of inclusive supports that those supporters utilize. Many of these are listed on the slide. One of these listed inclusive supports that is very important to me is assistive technology. I have a disorder called arthrogryposis. I know this is a mouthful, but basically what it means is I have not been able to use any of my four limbs hardly at all since birth. Without utilizing assistive technology, I would need assistance 24/7 for the most part. With assistive technology, this changes. I use an Alexa story and a Google Home to operate many of the things in my apartment by voice control. With these devices, I can open and close my front door, turn on and off all the lights, and operate my television. By using this assistive technology, I can live more independently and not require quite as much assistance, which means staff can use this time for other things. I also use software called Dragon Naturally Speaking to operate my laptop by voice. This allows me to effectively do the absolute work that is important to me. When we are talking about inclusive supports, it is important to note that they are not accessible to the entire state. However, these are the kind of supports that individuals are looking for. Therefore, there's a market for them. Inclusive supports are so important for the individual because they give us a sense of belonging. With inclusive supports, we get into and become part of the community much more easily. Inclusive supports are also vital because pretty much everyone wants to live in their own home. To have that autonomy, to have their home as they wish. This is all about everyone living the life of their choosing, living one's own home and working and being a part of the community. It's possible for everyone, given the right supports. Wake up. My co-facilitator Shay is going to talk a little bit about the benefits of inclusive supports to you, the providers. Go to sleep.
Next slide, please.
Go to sleep.
Inclusive supports are portable. Provide people with disabilities the opportunity to interact in their community and give them the opportunity to build natural supports. Next slide, please. As providers, what are some of your roadblocks you have come across or experienced that keep you from providing inclusive supports? Next slide, please. Now, Jesse will talk about the challenges that people face.
As we just discussed, there are many roadblocks to inclusive supports. These obviously affect both the user and provider. One of these major roadblocks is the staffing crisis. This crisis has created a shortage in those who provide care and has been exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Another issue affecting the staffing crisis is the low reimbursement rate from Medicaid for providers and individuals. Because of this crisis, there has been high turnover in the field. This hurts the individual because there's no consistency in care. I know from my own experience that I have a certain routine. It takes a while for me to get used to a person that is assisting me, and vice versa. This relationship cannot develop if someone does not stay in the job long. This is also detrimental to the provider. Because of the reimbursement rates and turnover, new staff is constantly being trained at additional cost to the provider. With a lower reimbursement rate, a provider is paid less for their services. All this leads to less profit for the provider. This situation could also be extremely stressful for the family members of individuals. I know it was very stressful in my life before I lived on my own. This is why inclusive supports are so important. Another roadblock is the fact that because of the low reimbursement rates, some providers choose not to accept Medicaid waivers. For instance, when I was trying to utilize waiver funding to purchase the assisted tech I mentioned earlier, I found that there was no provider in my area that would accept the Medicaid rates. I was fortunate enough to get assisted tech from my I was fortunate enough to get assistance from my family for this technology. However, many do not have that option and go without. There's also a long waiting list for Medicaid waivers. Thousands of Virginians who qualify for it are waiting for their waiver. Until then, they cannot use the provider to get services. From you, the provider's perspective, all these roadblocks lead to less individuals receiving services and less services that can be provided. This has caused some providers to go out of business completely. We must all work together to tackle these roadblocks. Now, Shay will talk a little bit more about the benefits for those who receive inclusive support.
Inclusive supports increases the assurance of our human rights, self-determination, and dignity. Human rights are rights that every human being has. Dignity is our self-respect, and self-determination is our freedom of choice. Next slide, please. Self-determination plus dignity plus human rights plus inclusive supports equals freedom for individuals with disabilities to have a better quality of life. This equation was created by a member of the Alliance to help illustrate the importance of inclusive supports to individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Having inclusive supports in place ensures we as people with disabilities can make decisions and create a life like yours. We would like to take the opportunity to let you know as providers that you are not alone in this process. Together, as advocates and providers, we can make a difference. Next slide, please. Thank you for attending today. We hope that this presentation inspires your work as providers.